Good to see everybody here. Wow, let's go, Brandon's first thing I saw today. Let's go, Brandon. What a beautiful, beautiful day it is, my friends. We are live. Come on in, one and all. Great to have you here. It is live stream Friday. I'm your late as always, right? I guess that's just going to be the new thing now. I'm always like 5 minutes. Stop. You guys are always saying I'm pinching a loaf or something. I'm not. I'm show prep. As Rush would say, show prep. I'm getting ready. And it just, I don't know. I have a terrible way of managing my time. But hey, it is live stream Friday. I am your Patriot Professor, here to help you think better so you can feel better in these crazy and turbulent times. Although I don't think you need me to be feeling any better coming this Tuesday coming up, as well as some serious Twitter tears, unemployed Twitter tears, people. How many of them had no problem? Sorry, I'm getting my Mike Lindell coffee ready here. Actually, that's not the Mike Lindell. That's a different one that I'm trying out. I shouldn't say that. I mean, yes, Mike Lindell coffee, Patriot coffee, right? Yeah, I mean, very people that no problem canceling the lives of content creators all over the world because they were guilty of nothing more than wrongthink, didn't do anything illegal, didn't violate any kind of FCC regulations. No, they just had wrong opinions that the gatekeepers of knowledge, the increasingly imploding gatekeepers of knowledge, did not like and did not approve of. They were canceled. Well, now those very same people are getting canceled today. I'll do a quick video on that later on today after our live stream. I've got a meeting or two and another interview I have to do, and after that, I'll do an update on what's going on Twitter because that's pretty amazing. But boy, do we have some amazing midterm stuff going on today. So come on in, gang, one and all. I'm here to answer your questions. The super chats are up. See, we already have a couple of super chats up there. I will answer your questions at the end. We have so much to talk about here. It does look like the Democrats are admitting defeat. Fetterman is calling in Oprah. Did you see this? John Fetterman is calling in Oprah because Oprah is such a staple of Pennsylvania. Whenever I think of Pennsylvania, I think Oprah, don't you? I mean, right? You've got the Phillies, right? You got the Eagles. You got the Pennsylvania Dutch, and you've got Oprah. I mean, what else could possibly define Pennsylvania? Oh, and he's on The View today as well. I don't know if you saw that. Television's ultimate panel of borderline illiterates are being called in to save the Fetterman Titanic. So you know why, you all know why they're calling in Oprah and Whoopi, right? You're hey, Danger Zone, read, amen to that. Read. You know why they're calling in Oprah and Whoopi, right? Come on, put it in the chat. What's the key voting Democrat? What's the key voting demographic that's abandoning the Democrats? Put it in the chat. Who's abandoning the Democrats as we speak? What key Democrat voting constituency is abandoning them in record numbers? You know it. That's right. White suburban women. The Karens of America are uniting against the Democratic Party. I mean, look, according to the latest, we talked about this week, according to the latest Wall Street Journal poll, white suburban women, who, again, historically are a solid voting bloc. They were touted as the chief force behind the Democrats' victory in 2018 and 2020. These saviors of democracy have officially defected and swung over to the Republican Party by a total of 26 points. 26 white suburban women are now favoring the Republicans by a 15-point margin. It's a 26-point swing from the last time Wall Street Journal conducted the poll back in August. This is cataclysmic for the Democrats, and they know that. They know that. This poll is so devastating to Democrats' strategy. of trying to make the fall of Roe v. Wade central to their get out the vote campaign, right? That's all we heard. That's all we heard all summer long, is the fall of Roe was supposed to turn out white suburban women in record numbers like we never even imagined. And we were going to hear their rage. We were going to hear that. We were going to see a storm of pro Roe v. Wade voters coming on out there and pushing the Republicans back into the abyss of history where they belong. The fall of Roe v. Wade was touted as the single greatest crime against human rights in the history of humans. And now, those very voters that were supposed to come out and vote in a blue wave, all in the name of saving Roe, those very voters are voting for the Republicans by a 15-point margin. You can't make this up. This is amazing. Those very white suburban women, remember, the champions of democracy in 2018 and 2020, they are now enemy number one as far as like the women at The View are concerned. Who was it? I forget what's her name, who just said women voting for Republicans is like roaches voting for Raid. And think about it. Think about it. I mean, again, they think this works. I just don't understand. It did not take long before you saw trending on Twitter. So The View believes that women voting for Republicans are akin to roaches. I mean, they're just getting owned with every breath they take at this point. So white suburban women are voting overwhelmingly for Republicans. And that's just where the panic begins. Look at what's happening. As part of my show prep that I was late for here, that made me late. As part of my show prep, I found a fascinating article. Look at what's happening in New York City. This is amazing. Here's the headline. Lifelong New York City Democrat clergy leader rips Ocasio-Cortez, calls for Hispanics to support her GOP opponent. So this is a lifelong Democrat, it's a fellow by the name of the Reverend Ruben Diaz Sr. He is openly calling for all Latino voters in the 14th Congressional District to support the Republican on Tuesday. So Diaz is a former New York City Council member. He's a state senator. He's a lifelong Democrat. And he said he's had it. He's had it with AOC's antics. He's had it with her, like he accused her rightly of causing Amazon to back out of plans to open up a second headquarters in New York, costing the city thousands of high-paying jobs, many of which could have been held by her constituents. I mean, he's done. He's done with her. He's done with the Democrats, the crime issue. That's huge, by the way. We'll talk about that in a moment. And so he's urging all Latinos to defect and vote Republican. And by the way, there's a lot of heating of that. Have you seen Miami-Dade? Who's seen Miami-Dade? Yeah, thank you for the Super Chats. Remember, Super Chats are up, so if you want me to answer your questions, I will be happy to do so. Who's seen Miami-Dade? What's happening? You've got to get this. This was just a year ago unthinkable. Actually, I'll take that back a little bit because we did start to see this in 2000. So say 3 years ago, this was unimaginable. What just happened in Miami-Dade? One of the bluest of blue counties, Miami-Dade, obviously in Florida, one of the bluest of the blue counties in the nation is going red. Gang, this is like Baltimore County going red. Miami-Dade, one of the bluest of blue counties in the nation, is going red in early voting. Republicans took the lead. Florida is shaping up to be such an utter blowout. It's going to affect Florida politics for at least the next 10 years, if not a generation. I mean, this is absolutely What Ron DeSantis has done in Florida is a model for every single Republican, most particularly someone like Glenn Youngkin in Virginia. He can turn Virginia into, if Miami-Dade is going red, you can turn Virginia into Florida. It's exactly what Doug Mastriano wants to do in Pennsylvania. Doug Mastriano wants to turn, he said it, he wants to turn Pennsylvania into the Florida of the Northeast. Imagine that. A Florida in the Northeast, and change their politics. Florida is astonishing. It was a purple state. Charlie Crist used to represent the Republican Party. They were as rhino got. Jeb Bush. They always we bought into this notion for so long that in order for Republicans to win swing state, purple states, they had to run rhinos. That's what they had to do. And what DeSantis said, in effect, was, no, we gotta govern MAGA. We've got to awaken a populist revolt, a populist coalition that transcends ethnicity, race, gender, class. It is people versus the political class. And if we awaken that paradigm, we will awaken a supermajority and govern for at least the next generation. And lo and behold, look at what we got. And why is it happening? Why is Miami-Dade turning red? Why is because remember, as long as rhinos are in power, as long as these guys who never talk culture and only talk economics and unfortunately foreign policy, because they're generally pro-war, but as long as they always talked economics and turned this into sort of an economic war, the culture was ceded to the cultural Marxists. The cultural issues were ceded to the woke. And so the woke pushed ethnic enclave cultural Marxism. They pushed this kind of multicultural coalition that said that if you're anything other than a white Christian man, you've got to be a Democrat. But populism unites people of all different cultures, of all different races, and all different ethnicities and genders and economic status and the like. It unites everyone against a common enemy, which is the permanent political class. And lo and behold, and by the way, that's all done around the core of traditional values. Traditional values hold us together as over and against woke leftist insane values. And who is defecting away from the Democratic Party in droves? Latinos. Latinos are defecting en masse from the Democratic Party because, as it turns out, they are the most consistently conservative constituent in terms of their personal lives, their daily lives, consistently conservative constituents of any demographic poll. They're the most pro-life, they're the most pro-family, they're the most pro-religious. And now they're finding their home in the Republican Party. So I guess Fetterman has to go on Telemundo now. So there we go. We got Oprah, we got The View, and now we'll get Telemundo, right? But to no avail, right? Rich Barris of the People's Pundit is calling this the 1-2 combo that's knocking out the Democrats on Tuesday. The 1-2 combo. So the left punch is the defection of Latinos. They're stomping the Democrats in Florida and Texas and Arizona and Nevada. That defection is absolutely crushing any Democrat hopes in those states. And then, so that's the left. And then the right, the solid knockout right punch, is the defection of white suburban women, who are 20% of the voting electorate. So that's stomping them everywhere else. And we know things are really, really, really bad because, like we're seeing in New York, we're starting to see Democrats begin to tear each other apart. They're already playing the blame game. They are already pointing fingers at one another. You're going to absolutely love this. But first, let's pay the bills here. Let's pay for the electricity. Make sure to click on that link below and support our dear friend and patriot Mike Lindell by getting yourself an amazing aromatic bag of Mike's brand new coffee. Don't tell him about the new one that I'm drinking, but you will absolutely love My Coffee. I love it. You're going to love it too. You can get Mike's wonderful specialty coffee conveniently delivered right to your front door. It comes in a variety of flavors. It is either whole bean or ground, and it's certified organic and non-GMO. Gang, you got to get this. Remember, with every sip, you know you're going to be supporting a true patriot who's fighting for freedom. So just click on that link below. Shop for Christmas early. Get some of your patriot friends some Mike Lindell My Coffee. And as a matter of fact, if you use code Turley on mystore.com, just by clicking on the link below, you get 25% off, not just the coffee, but anything on my store. Anything and everything on my store, 25% off. So it's awesome. Click on the link below. Enjoy the best patriotic products on the planet. As at the same time, you're enjoying the best savings ever with code Turley. All right, guys. Wow. All right. We've got here a major Democratic pollster, a Clintonista, the Clinton guy, who is turning on the Democrats. This is from the Daily Caller. So out of touch, quote unquote, Clinton pollster blasts indefensibly elitist Democrats, particularly on crime. So this is Stanley Greenberg. Some of you may know him. He goes all the way back to the Bill Clinton days. And he's just come out, as of today, utterly blasting the Democrats, saying that they're totally out of touch with the American electorate. Absolutely out of it. And they are indefensibly elitist. And he's focusing, interestingly enough, on crime. You know, he's got this wonderful phrase. Let me read it for you. You're going to love this. I was asked repeatedly by colleagues and campaigning Democrats, what should we be saying on crime? And when I'm asked about defunding the police, so these are Democrats saying, what do I say to them? And he said, quote, to be honest, Democrats were in such terrible shape on crime at this point. I said, speak as little as possible or just mumble. Well, Fetterman's got the latter part down. He actually thinks it's crime. He thinks crime is the ultimate downfall of the Democrats. Certainly the economy isn't helping them, inflation alike. But he thinks the whole defund the police insanity that we've heard over the last 2 years, the implosion of Democrat monopolized cities, urban spaces, the spike in violent crime, particularly in cities like Philadelphia. He thinks that killed the Democrats across the board. So he's throwing, I don't know if I agree with that, but he's obviously has his data that he's drawing from, but he's throwing Democrat leadership under the bus for having capitulated to the most far left woke voices in their party. And he said it's going to cost them dearly. It's going to absolutely cost them dearly as of the next 4 days. Douglas Schoen, Democrat pollster Douglas Schoen. I know many of you know him. How do you like this as a headline? The impending red wave could become a tsunami. These are Democrats. These aren't right, optimistic Pollyanna right-wing folks. These are Democrats, gang. Democrats are saying, well, they blew it. They blew it on crime. This Democrat saying, well, that red wave, it might be a tsunami. That's the data I'm looking at. And again, notice here how the impending red wave could become a tsunami. Notice even among Democratic pollsters, a red wave isn't even being contested at this point. These guys are reading the same data. We'll talk about this in a moment. They're reading the same data we're seeing, and they're like, we're screwed. Now the question is, are we really, 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 really screwed? Okay, so that, again, this is why Fetterman's trying to roll out the old bones of Oprah and why he's going on The View. It's all basically an admission they've lost. So now it's trying to mitigate those losses. It's trying to minimize the damage. They're actively trying now to prevent a tsunami at this point. Now, what Schoen and others are seeing, just so you know, so that we have a sense of where we are today, right? You guys know all the basic statewide polls and all that. So what's happening now is we're starting to see, and this is where the art of polling comes in, And again, proof is in the pudding. We'll see what happens on Tuesday night, right? But the art of the polling is basically this, where what we're beginning to see is the convergence between local polling, state polling, and national polling. Okay, so the national polls, like the generic ballot, right? Who are you going to vote for Congress? Are you going to vote for the Democrat or the Republican? You look at the national polls and see if you can identify a trend. And what that trend can do is it can fill in gaps that come about when you're trying to really micro poll at state levels. So someone like Blake Masters is a point or two behind Mark Kelly, right, in the Arizona Senate race. We would make a huge mistake in assuming that those state polls are definitive and therefore Mark Kelly is going to win. We'd make a huge mistake to do that if the national polling shows a massive trend towards the Republicans. So the direction of national polls is a leading indicator of what's happening in the states, which are very, very, very hard to poll given the regional peculiarities of those states. Again, Rich Barris is an expert in this area. He knows he's observed how, like in Pennsylvania, the Pennsylvania Dutch, the Amish vote in Pennsylvania, and not just Pennsylvania, Ohio, Indiana. The Amish vote is virtually impossible to poll, right? It's almost impossible to get an accurate sampling of the vote. They don't respond to online polling or text messages or phone calls or whatever. If they do, it's a very, very tiny portion. So sampling errors abound in statewide polling. So we can make up for that. We can kind of fill in the gaps of that polling deficit by seeing where the national trends are going. And that's why we're seeing the RCP projection map, right? Everyone knows the Real Clear Politics projection map. What that does is precisely what we're talking about. It aggregates all the state polls together, and then it interprets them in light of national polling trends. And that's why, as of today, they're predicting a GOP blowout. Again, we'll see, guys. We'll see, right? None of us are omniscient. Anything can happen between now and Tuesday. Anything can happen after Tuesday, as we see bumbling Biden alluding to, right? We have to be vigilant, okay? But that being said, they are looking at these trends. You know, some of these national trends, right? They're looking at the state polls. They're aggregating them together, and then they are interpreting them in light of the trends. And what are some of the trends? CNN has gone from a Democrat +3 to a Republican +4. This is a generic ballot across the nation. CNN has a Republican +4 electorate. A Republican +4 electorate is a blowout. Okay? A Republican +4 electorate is a blowout. The Republicans were down -3 in 2020. It was a Democrat +3, and we almost took the House. We were a handful of seats shy of taking the House. Where we pick up 23, 26 seats in the House. So if you've got a Republican +4, good night. That's a 7-point swing overall from Democrat +3 to Republican +4. NPR Morris has gone from Democrat +3 to Republican +3, 6-point swing. Suffolk, Dems +4 to now Republicans +4, 8-point swing. Wall Street Journal, Dems +3, Republicans +2. Emerson went from a tie of Republicans to a Republican +5. New York Times, Democrat +2 to Republican +4. Harvard Harris, Democrat +2, Republican +6, an 8-point swing. Monmouth has just added to the Republican lead. I think they were a +3. Now they're a +6. So every single major poll shows a massive swing to the GOP. I know there are some polls out there that still show Democrats with a 190-point lead. I know. Just laugh at those polls. Throw them away. They're shills without question. So with this undeniable national trend, RCP is now predicting a GOP blowout. They're predicting the New Hampshire race is going to go Republican. Don Bolduc is going to steal the seat. The Republican Don Bolduc is going to steal the seat from the Democrat incumbent Maggie Hassan. We'll see. I told you the other day, we talked about that. I remain very skeptical on these things, okay? Yes, Dr. Steve can be very skeptical. Dr. Steve can be very pessimistic on this, right? And the only reason why, again, is because New Hampshire went for bumbling Biden. But what is it, 7, 8 points? He won 7 points. That's a big deficit to make up. Now, again, that's not to say that Boulder can't do it. And obviously, this is the year. If there were ever a year he could, this is it, right? If ever there were a year that the Republicans could upset Democrats in all kinds of places, hello, Minnesota, right? If ever there were a year, it's this, okay? But for whatever reason, I mean, New Hampshire voters went fully Republican in 2020 with their state politics, right? They have a triumvirate. They have a freaking triumvirate, right? The Republican governor, Republican Senate, Republican House, state Senate, state House, and then they vote for Biden by 7 points. So that's the only thing. That's the thing. Like, screw your national trend. I mean, my heavens, I don't know what kind of mentality thinks that way. But having said that, if New Hampshire does go red the way RCP predicts it will, and and hopefully we'll know early on, right? Well, I'll even draw that back a little bit. Even if it's just really, really close, even if it's a dead heat in New Hampshire that requires recounts for the next 3 weeks, we will get a major indicator very early on at the beginning of the night of Tuesday night that this is going to be a Republican blowout. The national trend towards the GOP will be carrying the individual candidates in their state races to victory. And we see that too as well. It's not just the generic ballot. We're seeing it in voter enthusiasm, right? Voter enthusiasm is a very good predictor of who's actually going to come out to vote. And Republican voter enthusiasm is through the roof. You guys are doing it right now. I'm seeing all the awesome comments here. You're through the roof on this stuff, right? So we are rocking and rolling with voter. We cannot wait. I'm an in-person voter. I've never voted by mail. In-person voting is generally the way the Republicans do it, and Republican-leaning independents. And we're already seeing it's going to be a massive, massive, massive turnout. The Democrats just don't have the mail-in ballot margins that they needed. They needed something akin to the 2020 mail-in ballot margins, and they just don't have it. Everyone was getting a little nervous. A couple of weeks back, Dick Morris was getting nervous because we were seeing it pile up, and then it just hit a wall. It hit a ceiling, I should probably say, and it just stopped. And that's it. There's no more mail-ins to come in. And they've more or less exhausted their vote. And so now Republicans are ready to storm. And voter enthusiasm is through the roof. Democrat enthusiasm remains very lackluster, very tempered. And so you take those indicators, you take those national trends, the generic ballot in our favor, the national trend of voter enthusiasm in our favor, and of course, the wonder of them all, the number one indicator for how a midterm is going to play out. Everybody knows it. The number one indicator for how a midterm is going to play out, presidential approval. Presidential approval. Biden's approval rating is tanked. It was really interesting. It saw a little bit of a bump. Did you notice? Well, of course you did, because that's all the media talked about, right? It saw a bit of a bump over the summer, just largely, again, because of the response bias that happens over the summer. Republicans aren't around to be polled. Republicans are not they're totally underrepresented in these polls over the summer. It happens in every election cycle because we have lives, we have families. There's all kinds of ways of explaining it. We're not interested in talking to pollsters in July, August, and even into September, okay? Yeah, even into the beginning of October. Then when we get engaged, all the polls move in our direction. Biden's approval ratings tank. It's in the 30s. And you know as a result, Democrats are starting to turn on him. All right, and this is probably the biggest takeaway as of today in terms of Democrats beginning to tear each other apart. We talked about it yesterday. So you have this piece in the Hill talking about Democrats, pollsters turning on Democrats, saying they're insane and crazy. Doug Schoen saying there's going to be the red wave will most likely be a tsunami. Now another piece in the Hill is published where the Democrats are openly talking about invoking the 25th Amendment. This is not read. Again, this isn't from Breitbart. This isn't, not to disparage Breitbart, although I do think they do tend to major on outrage porn, which I don't care for. But alas, no, this is the Hill. This is a publication that people in the DC swamp read. And the Hill piece yesterday came out and said that Democrats are beginning openly talking about invoking the 25th Amendment against Biden. It will be quiet. It's not going to be done in front of cameras. There's not going to be all this fanfare and drama. That's the Hill piece speculated. And again, we can only speculate, but the Hill piece speculated that they're going to launch, Democrat leadership is going to launch what he called a full court press to get Biden to withdraw from the 2024 election. So at the very least, what they're going to want to do is put him more or less in hiding, minimize him. Due to Biden, what they did to Kamala and continue to do to Kamala so much, just put her in hiding. While you have other Democratic candidates vying for the nomination in 2024 and try to redirect Democrat energy to somebody new and certainly with more vitality. So they're going to try to push Biden to withdraw from the 2024 election, voluntarily take himself out from re-election consideration. And if he doesn't, which the article stated is common among elderly people who are wrestling with cognitive issues, they tend to get very contentious, very angry when they feel that they're being forced to do something against their will. That's when the full court press can threaten to use the 25th Amendment if he doesn't do it voluntarily. In other words, the 25th Amendment could be used as leverage to try to get Biden to bow out at 2024 on his own. So, look, I mean, and again, this is coming from deep inside Democrat Washington, D.C. So it's becoming extremely clear here that the Democrats are starting to turn on each other. The knives are coming out. They're already pointing fingers. The blame game is starting days before the midterms. One of the ways they were trying, a very interesting article, one of the ways they were trying to spin, they were Spin Tuesday, it already came out, is they were going to say, well, it's not as bad as Obama, like in 2010 when he lost 63 seats. It's not as bad as Obama. It's not as bad as Trump in 2018 when he lost. So Democrats picked up just over 40 seats. They're hoping to keep the damage done to about a minimum of like 38 seats or so. Or if they could just keep it under 40 and say, actually, this was a pretty good midterm. If you look at other midterms, this was actually a pretty good midterm. Just one problem, Trump gained seats in the Senate in 2018. It was only the fifth time in American history where a sitting president was able to gain seats in the Senate during his tenure in a midterm. So everyone's shooting down that trial balloon of how they were going to be able to try to gaslight this election. There's just no way around it. They know that they're in for it. And the knives are coming out, and it looks like this is going to be a very, very, very fun day for sure. Now, again, fair warning, right? Just so we go in with caution, so as to maximize our gains. But nothing can be taken for granted. You guys all know this, right? Nothing can be taken for granted. We cannot be presumptuous about this. There is no telling what can happen from here to Election Day and even beyond, right? As I mentioned, Biden's already alluded to this. So we have to be extremely vigilant here. And I do, if you guys want to chat about it in the Q&A, I was going to put it in the presentation, but we do have some updates on the precinct strategy, Steve Bannon's precinct strategy, and how well it's doing right now across the country. So actually very, very good news. So we have to be very vigilant. Remember, being a patriot is not a spectator sport. We have to be participants. We have to get into the game. So find a way you can get into the game to make Tuesday the most amazing Tuesday imaginable. And with all of that, given how the Democrats are already turning on each other, it does look like they have lost hope in all of this. And that's a wonderful sign indeed. All right, over to you guys. Let's answer your questions. And remember, make sure to click on the link below and head on over to my special website for the Ready Project food supply. No one makes preparing for an emergency. If you're a Democrat out there, obviously you need to prepare for an emergency right now. And no one makes preparing for an emergency more ridiculously easy and affordable than our good friends over at the Ready Project food supply. Their food kits last up to 25 years in storage, include breakfast, lunches, and dinners. Each meal is at least 2,000 calories. And if you act right now, if you click on that link below, you're going to get 25% off a full 4-week emergency food supply right now if you go to my special website by clicking on the link below. So whatever you do, gang, they last for 25 years. You only have to do this once every 25 years. So don't wait. Click on the link below. Start building your own emergency food supply today for yourself and for your loved ones. All right, guys, let's rock and roll. Let's answer some questions here. See what you got. Josh, our moderator, is setting them all up for me. Joshua. Yeshua. Brooks. Thanks, Brooks. Dr. Steve is late on time again. Happy Friday to you, sir. Happy Friday to you, Brooks. Thank you. Danger Zone. Yeah, give you a little shout out there. Coin Addiction. Red wave spotted. 4 days offshore. Run, Dems, run. And concerns, grab your boogie boards and ride the wave. And that's I think, what we're all really hoping for is that the wave is so massive. It's so huge. Especially with that 1-2 punch, that left-right with Latino defection, and then 25% of the voting population defection, which is white suburban women, which were key to Democrats' victories in 2020 and 2018. And then with just massive Republican enthusiasm, ultra MAGA candidates rocking and rolling, Miami-Dade turning red in mail-in ballots. This is when Democrats are supposed to shine, and it's already turned in mail-in ballots and early voting, I should say both. This is hopefully we're going to be able to just ride a wave here and no issues. We'll obviously find out on Tuesday. Beto is a commie, breakfast tacos, and Roach's lives matter. That's right. Roach's lives do matter. That's correct. Mitchell Ryan, do you think they'll try to get the mail-in ballots counted late again? Well, I mean, Biden's already kind of alluded to something like that. We'll see. I think the good news is the key states that we're concerned about, particularly Arizona, Georgia, and Florida, have awesome, as I understand it, have awesome election integrity reform laws on the books getting enforced, and we should be okay there. Chain of custody should be confirmed. This is all should be confirmed in all mail-in ballots. And obviously that was a concern in terms of how that was lax in the past. So we should be okay with the key states. I don't know about Pennsylvania, but, we'll have to see what goes on there. I don't know about Nevada. We'll have to see what goes on there. No question. But I think in terms of at least getting that Senate majority, when all said and done, 54 would be great, but hey, we'll take 51. Just getting that Senate majority, getting a huge MAGA wave in the House, and getting the majority of Republican governorships, majority of state governorships. From what I'm getting, from what I'm assessing, that's almost in the bag. That's going to be something very, very hard to thwart at this point. So we'll see. All right. Danger Zone Salt, or Carol Hellman, thank you so much, Carol. Danger Zone, salty lesions in every region. Amen for that, and we are all the better for it. God bless you. Again, that's what I love. No, we are not part. This is not a spectator sport. Being a patriot is a participatory sport. IK1906, I love seeing MAGA candidates leading everywhere, but blue states didn't pass election integrity laws. So what's to stop more? You know what? Any concern? We are on YouTube. Any concern the red wave may not happen due to more? You know what? All right. So I can, that's why, that's where Let's talk about this a little bit. That's where the precinct strategy comes in. What you're talking about is really, really important here, I think, with precinct strategy. Because the Bannon, you guys all know the Steve Bannon precinct strategy. This is where MAGA patriots are becoming precinct officers, becoming election judges, they're becoming inspectors, and of course, they're becoming poll workers. Bannon has said, now again, it's hard to determine how much this has happened. We saw it in Virginia. That was huge, and there were some really good articles on it. I've got two articles, one from yesterday, November 3rd, and one from October 20th. Both one from the New York Magazine and the other one from WSIU. Oh, this is NPR, National Public Radio. They're both saying patriots are that Steve Bannon's vision of, quote, taking over our elections is coming true. So Bannon is saying that we are 100 times more organized than we were last time in 2020 in terms of precinct strategy, in terms of ultra mega patriots volunteering at precincts to be poll workers, election judges, precinct officers, inspectors, and the like. And New York Magazine, in this article, they are focusing in on the efforts of Cleta Mitchell. She's a pro-Trump lawyer, and she runs what's called the Election Integrity Network, and it's part of the Conservative Partnership Institute. And she's saying she's organized. She herself has organized and recruited over 20,000 poll workers to volunteer on November 8th. So that's good stuff. That's good. Again, that's part of election. That's part of our election approach from this point forward. Is precisely this kind of precinct strategy. So we'll see. We'll see how that works itself out. Absolutely. Bridget Denise, thank you so much for the heart sticker. Luke G, I'm voting straight red Republican ticket in Nevada, but I'm really concerned about the electronic voting machines switching votes. Well, we'll have to see, Luke. I don't know anything. We're going to have to, again, that's what I mean. We have to be vigilant in all this. Larynx, can you live on Rumble, better volume, and can so other work while listening? Yeah, Larynx, that is my fault. My team has given me what I need to live stream on Rumble simultaneously on YouTube, and I have yet to set that up because I'm a lazy. But no, I'm working hard for you, and I just have not sat down to do that. So I will try. Thank you for that little gentle push. Raven Writing Desk. We need to have accountability back. It seems like we are on the brink of a total civilization collapse. Worldwide, I mean. Yeah. I hope it doesn't happen. That's what we're talking about, Raven. Again, I think the best way to look at it is we are seeing a clash, but we're seeing a clash between two massive global civilizations. So on the one hand, it's the globalist civilization that became dominant after post-World War II and is known as the Western liberal globalist order. And that's the seats of power, primarily D.C., Davos, and Brussels. It's that versus the rising traditionalist order, a post-globalist, post-modern, post-secular order that's represented by the MAGA movement, the Patriot movement, the new nationalisms that we're seeing, particularly in Hungary and Poland and the like. It was represented by Bolsonaro. Well, it continues to be represented by Bolsonaro in Brazil and the massive uprising that we're seeing there in terms of their concerns over their elections. And of course, Russia, yes, China, is, believe it or not, is a part of that, and that they're returning to Confucianism as their primary model for their communism is morphing into a neo-Confucianism. There's some very fascinating PhD dissertation in particular that's being written right now as we speak on how ancient Confucianism, by its nature, in modern terms, is a kind of Chinese communism. It's a fascinating thesis. Granted, not that I want it or anything like that, but that's just where the world is moving. It's moving back to nation, culture, custom, tradition, most particularly religious traditions. We're seeing it in the Middle East. We just saw it in Israel. The Israeli conservative vote is just growing every single year because Haredi Jews are having significantly more children than secular Jews are. So Haredi Jewish children back in the 1950s were what? They were barely, I think, a fifth, not even I think they were 1/7 of the school children in Israel today. They're about half. They're nearing half. So there's a reason why Bibi Netanyahu and Likud just keep winning and winning. Granted that many of the Haredi Jews have their own third parties, as it were, but the electorate of the world is becoming more and more conservative. What's happening in Israel, what's happening in India, and that's another power center. It's happening in Russia, Hungary, Poland, and Brazil, and in the heartland of the United States. Is conservative religionists are having more children than ever before, and they're basically increasingly taking over. And the concern is all the mess and the damage and destruction globalists will accrue given their desperate attempts to cling on to power as the world moves in a different direction. So I'm with you. I mean, we are on the brink of a total civilization collapse, but the good news is it's largely because a new world is rising out of those ashes, a much more conservative world. Cass Trump 2024, good luck from the UK. My brother from across the pond, God bless you. Have a John Smith's not on me since I'm not singing any pound sterling, but you know what I mean. Have a John Smith's for me, that's for sure. I don't think we get it. Do you guys know? Can we get John Smith's here? I haven't found it anywhere in the United States. It was my favorite beer from the UK, and a lovely Scotch as well. Daniel Weisbecker, a bit off topic as a Brazilian, German living in Switzerland. Okay, very good. I appreciate your last video on Brazil's elections. Thank you, Steve, for spreading hope in the fight for freedom and election integrity. God is with us. Amen, Daniel. Amen. Yeah. Obviously, my heart's connected with Brazil. I've been to Sao Paulo. Have lots of friends in Brazil. We're very close with the Brazilian, ambassador. Well, I've also Ernesto Araújo. I interviewed as well, the foreign minister there, but the ambassador, Nestor Forster. I loved my relationship with Olavo de Carvalho. He was an amazing intellect, a giant intellect of 20th and 21st century. So a lot of love for Brazil. We've focused a lot on the Bolsonaro tenure, and he's an amazing person. And he has awakened the populist right giant that Olavo said was always there. It just needed some organization to channel itself. So Brazil will never, ever, ever be the same after this. That's Lula is not inheriting the same Brazil he oversaw, 10 years ago or whatever. This is a very, very different Brazil today. So danger zone, Deonra Walton, Democrats gave a masterclass in self-destruction. That's a really neat way of putting it. Democrats gave a masterclass and said they destroyed themselves. They had every opportunity to pivot their message. They had every opportunity to try to get with the program, and they fell apart. They kept trying to tell you that you're concerned about violent crime and inflation and what is a recession and baby formula shortages and pain at the pump. They kept trying to tell you that was being selfish and short-sighted. No, the real issue is J6. The real issue is democracy now. It's under assault, blah, 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 and they've fallen apart. We of liberty and freedom. As a Japanese-American woman, konnichiwa, I have people tell me that I should be offended. I've been called a racist for being MAGA and living in gratitude. Amen. I know. That's just, they have nothing else. It is the cultural Marxist paradigm that cannot see, it can't see the world in any other moral terms other than victimization. And if you side with the oppressor, then you're in effect, then you're right. What did she say on the View? You're a roach voting for raid spray. Sanson, it's all Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Dems pander to superficial ones while undermining the deeper ones. Now they're painted into a corner. Absolutely. I did a quick video over the weekend explaining a poll shift based on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Absolutely. Abraham, right? It was an Abraham Maslow. Angela Chung, Mike Coffee, could you please explain how the coffee tastes? I'm a coffee lover. Would like to hear about, how do I explain how coffee? It's very smooth. It's a very smooth coffee. So I make my coffee in a French roast. Not French roast. What am I calling it? Like why am I forgetting? Not French roast. What am I talking about? Yes. In the glass. In the glass container where you press down. Why am I forgetting? You guys will remember. You put it in there. The French press. It just takes a little time here. Yeah, so I make it in the French press. Because I really, really like the taste of a nice, robust coffee. And Mike's Coffee passed the test for me. It really did. I mean, I have no problem saying, yeah, grab the coffee. You'll be supporting him. But I don't really like it. I have no problem saying that. It has a very nice, smooth taste. So I don't like flavored coffee or anything like that. But when I use it in that process, and I like some cream in the coffee, I just find it's a very full-bodied coffee. He really takes care to make a very good product. That's what I found about. I've interviewed Mike once. He's a really, really neat, eccentric guy. And I noticed that when I asked him about sort of his business model, he really takes his products very, very seriously. So this coffee is very, very good. Stephen Reed, Stalin said, it's not who votes, it's who counts. Absolutely. It's why I keep saying. Yeah, but Stephen, make sure then you're voting as a precinct poll worker. Don't just throw out your pessimistic vomit. Don't do that. You're not. Don't be the guy. Don't be the drunk guy in the stands going, yeah, I don't buy it. But then, F you. Go build your bunker and screw off. Seriously, dude, screw off. There's no point in throwing shit like that out. And try to demoralize people. That's why I wonder if you're a Democrat. Try to demoralize people if you're not doing anything about it. Make sure you get out and do something. Become a volunteer poll worker. Make sure you're doing so. If you're gonna take that Stalin phrase seriously, go and do it. Being a patriot is not a spectator sport. So come on, do something about it. So, but that said, yes, we do have to take things into consideration. Danger Zone. The best we should hope for when real men and women take power is pardons, not amnesty. Oh, that's interesting. Very, very good. Yes. No, I don't think we're going to see. Any kind of amnesty coming anytime soon. Misfit, thank you so much for the gift. Tom Greer, everyone has abandoned the Democrats. Great news, Dr. Steve. Absolutely, Tom. Very, very few people. Women with college degrees. Single women with college degrees, they're now becoming the new constituent of the Democratic Party. Kane, Dr. Steve, Razor Fist tweeted out this morning that an Arizona judge has banned cameras recording devices at ballot drops. I don't know. We'll have to see. Yeah, there's going to be these last minute things. I don't know. We're gonna have to see see how that works out. No question. But again, we're not spectators. Deb Bratz, thank you for the gift. Was that yen? I believe that's yen. So, domo arigato gozaimashita. Julius Gallery, thank you so much. David March, within 24 hours of coming to Vegas, Google sent me a link to how to vote. I'm a Canadian citizen. Yes, welcome to Vegas. Unfortunately, that is the one concern about Laxalt and Lombardo is Nevada is a Democrat machine. Thank you, Harry Reid. And so we're going to have to see how that works out. Again, remember this stuff is a marathon. It's hard. We have to keep going, have to keep pushing. And so even if we get some disappointments on Tuesday, we have to keep going. We have to keep pushing. And we will, because their insanity, I think, is partly what motivates us to push back. Rejoy Isaac, any comments on a local Fox channel in Arizona already declaring Arizona governor's race in Katie Hobbs' favor? Yeah, it's so bizarre. I just, first of all, turn off Fox. Do not look at Fox Tuesday night. Turn on this channel. I'm not doing a live stream. I'm doing updates as we go along. There's going to be so many live streams going on. So I just thought I'd do quick 5-minute updates on the latest every 20 minutes, every half hour, 45 minutes or so. So check out here. Stay on YouTube. Go to Rich Barris's People's Pundit. Turn off Fox. They have liberals running their decision desks. So just stay away from it. Pay no attention to it. Just keep going. Steve B., the silent Mastriano voter exists. Yes, we talked about that with the Amish. That's a very real silence. There are so many people in Pennsylvania who are afraid to express their support in him. That's right. That's another part of the response bias. And just got early voting in Pennsylvania is not where they want it. It's nowhere near the 2020. It's a 3-1, as I understand, but it's nowhere the new standard, the 2020 standard is. And that means Republicans in Pennsylvania and Republican-leaning independents are going to absolutely crush it. So no, I'm with you. Barris has Oz way ahead. He thinks Pennsylvania is not even going to be close. And then what he says is Mastriano is suffering in the eastern part of the state's vote. So in other words, you want to maximize your wins and minimize your losses. So in Western PA, Mastriano's exploding. It's just huge vote. But then, and same with Oz. Oz is, as I understand, is caught up with him. So the MAGA crowd has made their peace with Oz at this point. But then when you go into the eastern part of the state, the more liberal part of the state, right? Because you've got east, you've got west, and then you've got Alabama in between, right? Or, I mean, far west, like Pittsburgh. So you've got Pittsburgh, you've got Philadelphia, and then you've got Alabama in between. When you get into that Philadelphia region and the Allegheny County region, those areas, Oz is losing, but he's not losing by much. Where apparently Mastriano's losing majorly. And so it's those margins that can have a significant factor. And so that's why Barris, Robert Barnes, who's an expert on odds making, he's an expert betting person. I don't know what you call him. But that's why they're a little nervous with Mastriano. That's why. But I think you're right. They both agree that it's this underrepresented, this unpolled, silent, sort of Pennsylvania Dutch majority, not just the Amish, but people with the affinity of that, are just going to explode for Mastriano on that day. And that's what we're hoping for. Absolutely. So let's go. Let's see. Join danger zone. Join or die. Adam, I've seen several Democrats use a yard sign only strategy. It's a sign of desperation. I agree with you. Absolutely. Charles Turner, Dr. Steve, while we have mentioned the 9 counties in Washington and 8 counties in Oregon that turn each state blue, did you know that the last time most of the Western U.S. voted Dem was 1936 for FDR's second term? I didn't, Charles. That's brilliant. I'm going to actually look that one up because that's a really nice stat. 1936 Western U.S. last time voted Dem. So absolutely. So what's going on now in Oregon and Washington? I mean, Patty Murray may lose. This is astonishing. But what we're finding is that the vast majority of those regions, those counties that are already red and deep red, again, 3/5 of Oregon wants to secede and join up with a greater Idaho, which I think they should be allowed to do. I would actually like to see them create their own state, but that would be an interesting thing about in a post-globalist world, whether or not we'll start being able to split the difference with these, like Maryland wants to join up with West Virginia, for example, and they don't want to be a part of the Baltimore machine anymore. But what we already have the red wave apparatus within these states, and now it's trying to harness and organize it in such a way that it overwhelms its cosmopolitan woke centers, Seattle and Portland and Salem and the like. So absolutely, and the same with California as well. You're looking at like Shasta County and so forth that are total ultra MAGA, all over the place. I mean, I did a video on it. I mean, they have patriot militias basically governing their local politics. I mean, they're sheriffs and all that are all part of their patriot militias, city councils, and you name it. They've gotten rid of every rhino there. So absolutely, I mean, we could see this. It's there. The foundation for a massive full Reagan-like red wave, 48 state is there. We just have to, we're going to have to figure out how to overcome that cosmopolitan vote. That's the big deal. That's what we got to do. And again, we're seeing it with Miami-Dade. We're seeing it with Florida. We're seeing red areas in the Rio Grande Valley area in Texas turning red. Katie Hobbs, can you believe it? Carrie Lake might even carry the Latino vote. It'll be very, very close, one way or the other. Same with Laxalt. So, I mean, this is, it's astonishing stuff. All right. So, let's see. I've enjoyed your channel, John. Good ship. I've enjoyed your channel for a while, just financially supporting a channel I watch. Thank you, John. It's very kind of you. Diana, Dr. Steve, thank you so much for your positive added messages. I don't even turn my TV on anymore, which is very good. I never miss one of your videos. God bless you, Diana. Vote red. Amen. Amen, Diana. Thank you, Diana. God bless you. Thank you. I do it for you guys. You guys are the best. Mama X5, love, they call you racist. Aren't you married to a beautiful Asian woman? I am. I am married to a beautiful, lovely Asian woman, and I have 4 lovely children who love Japan and love their Asian heritage. That's the joke of it, so many who are part of the new nationalism, as it's referred to, are multi-ethnic in nature. Geert Wilders of the Dutch Freedom Party, he's part Indonesian. Who's the fellow? He's half Japanese. The fellow who's the head of the Freedom and Direct Democracy Party in the Czech Republic. That's their nationalist populist. They're a far-right party. He's Tomiko. I'm forgetting his name now. He's half Japanese. You see with the Peruvian Nationalist Right Party there. What is it? Fujimori. I'm forgetting their names too. Forgive me. I think, Makoto. No, that's Makoto Fujimori. He's an artist in New York City. Never mind. But they're partly Japanese. We love culture. We love custom. We love tradition. It's first of all, it's the cultural Marxists that have weaponized ethnicity and race and turned it into resentment politics, a form of resentment politics. And it's globalists who despise culture and nation and border and boundary and so on. We have study after study after study that show that nationalist populists, particularly from the 2016 election, nationalist populists, voters of Trump, had no more racist tendencies than Hillary Clinton voters. It's all a ruse. It's all a lie to continue to weaponize race and ethnicity. That's basically what it is. So thank you, Mama. Carlos Reed, Tim Pool, Red Eagle Politics, and Steve Turley. I am honored to be in that triumvirate. They are all doing an amazing, amazing job. Danger Zone, bring back death penalty or at least duels. Yeah, I think I want the death penalty at the very least for people who drive slowly in the left lane, the passing lane on highways. I believe that's justified. Glenn, the 2010 midterms with Obama in the House lost 63 seats and Senate 6 seats. It's 10 times worse. We should see more gains now. I fear shenanigans in lib areas will stop this. I'm with Bannon. Should be 100. Thoughts? Yeah, Bannon's saying 100 seats. We'll see. We'll see. No one's predicting it besides Bannon at this point. But we'll see. Again, the momentum's clearly on our side. Democrats are starting to turn on each other. And now it's going out and being faithful with riding that wave. That's what we need to be doing. We need to be voting and we need to be volunteering. If you're doing those two things, we're going to rock this. Danny Goetz, you can also watch Victory Muse or Red Eagle. Absolutely. I should have mentioned that. Absolutely. Thank you, Steve, for what you do, sir. Thank you, Danny. Absolutely. Both of those would be wonderful. Danny Goetz, sorry, you got it twice. Chauncey Hart, what are your thoughts on Minnesota with the Republican AG so far ahead of Keith Ellison? I think it'll be a statewide sweep. Love your channel. Will always pick me up. Chauncey, this is the year. I think you're on it. Now, again, I've told you, Chauncey, Minnesota always breaks my heart historically. Okay, that's why I'm so. But this is the year of seeing a red wave blowout in Minnesota. It's very exciting. I'm with you. So you got your governorship. And then, yeah, finally getting rid of Keith Ellison, that left-wing nut. A Valiant Life. Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And Smoked D. Oliver, do you think Biden will be removed traumatically to garner last-minute sympathy for Dems? No, that would be chaos. If Biden were removed, that would be absolute chaos, and it would be an admission of implosion. And finally, Danger Zone legions in ever region. Well, whatever that. I don't know what that means, Danger Zone, but God bless, man. All right, guys. Amazing stuff. So we'll be vigilant. Let's keep working hard. I'll stay in touch with you throughout the weekend. We got a lot of stuff going on. Whoa, Hugh Thomas, you own your own life. This is a genetic reality. No government can negate that fact. Well, there you go, Hugh. That's a great point. So we'll stay in constant contact. And gang, thank you so much also for your support. We're about to hit 1 million subscribers. Thank you guys for being here from the beginning. It's absolutely amazing. And we may hit it over the weekend. I don't know. But please share this channel with as many people as you know. Get us to 1 million as soon as you can. And we'll have a nice live stream as well to celebrate. So more on that. God bless, gang. Again, vote and volunteer. Vote and volunteer. You do those two things, we're going to rock and roll this. Love you guys. God bless.